What's up? Damn, this is just me tonight.
Back here jamming to those cool tunes Chris has got in that intro music, man. That's some sweet stuff.
Slapping the bass, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Paid for that, man. I bought that musical intro. I just have years ago when all this got started.
Yeah?
Yep. I think I paid like $19.99. Some of the best $20 I ever spent.
Right there. Yeah, man. Yeah, right. Baby.
We blew most of our budget on Johnny Supertech. So
absolutely. So $20 well spent. So we've got a guest tonight, guys, and he's got
a guest.
A guest.
We have people that want to come on this show willingly.
We blew the rest of our budget for this one.
Oh, okay. Well,
so he's in a time crunch, so he can only be on for a little while. So we're going to go ahead and bring him on, and we're going to get this party started. Tonight we are talking about, can't we all just get along? Jenry.
Oh, man. Jenry Garcia.
Take it away, my man. Can't we all just get along?
I don't think we will.
What do you mean by that, bro? Lay it on.
I don't think we're all gonna get along. I don't think it's gonna happen.
So
here's
what I'll tell you. Since I've came to TEC, here's what I will say. I've never been on this side of the industry till I took this career switch, and all the companies that I work with, and many more, even ones I don't work with, there is this crazy camaraderie that's happening right now between a bunch of companies, and all of them are talking about it. And it's just, every time I go to a conference, it's almost seems to be the same thing. It's like, man, this is really awesome that, we're working together, or this is happening and you guys are doing this and we're doing that. And, for me, I'm new to the scene, and I'm kind of like, okay, I'm thinking this is kind of, why isn't this business as normal? But apparently it was not business as normal. Eric, I think you probably could speak on that a little bit. You kind of been on the other side for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels to me like there was a lot of animosity between various groups, and I think that goes back to some of the old mentalities in the industry and society, where it's like, oh, I got to keep everything all, really close to the vest here because this is all my stuff. And I think we're getting a lot of new blood, a lot of new people, and a lot of different viewpoints into various parts of the industry that are like, they're more interested in an altruistic view of moving the entire industry forward rather than just moving themselves forward. And I think that has really, it's starting to change and turn a corner. Now there's still small pockets of groups, small people in there that are like, they just want to hold everything and control everything. And then there's a lot of people that are like, hey, I'm just going to do my thing. And I want to help move the whole industry. And Jennifer, thank you. That's a very insightful comment right there. And
it's tough for most dudes.
I mean, there's a lot of people in general, women, men in general, that don't want to join the trade. I think because people want to be so closed, and to me, it's really closed-minded in a lot of ways.
Okay, I got a question for you, Jenry, and here's what it is. Do you think that because now we have smart tools, right, and we're seeing everything through smart tools, and there's this huge wave of technology, that it's driving companies wanting to work together? Do you think that's the reason behind it, or you think something else?
No, at least the few companies that do embrace these smart tools, they do want to work together because now they can see the benefit of working with each other as opposed to seeing each other as competition. You know,
Right.
there's more to be had from collaboration than from disagreeing and cussing each other out and things like that.
Yeah.
But the tools is just part of the problem. I mean, you'll find people that will complain about anything that is not. I just don't. People will complain about anything that is not theirs, right?
Yeah.
And that is probably the oldest problem in the world.
Yeah.
Back to however far back you want to get it to, you want to take it back to. You know what I'm saying?
There's
So,
narcissists since day one,
it's-
man.
Right. That's how narcissism. It's how all bad things get created. That's how all negative things get started, right? Out of good intentions and this and that, but in the end, the narcissist leader, it's the worst thing that an organization can have, right? We won't get along. I don't think that's gonna happen. I mean, there're gonna be little groups, little sectors of the industry that are gonna be more attuned with each other than other ones, and for most of the time that's gonna be okay, and that's okay. People disagree.
It's okay to disagree, baby.
Right. It's so when disagreements end up turning into broken relationships and disoriented consumers and things like that, I think that's where it affects the industry more than anything else. So it's not so much not disagreeing or having to have this kumbaya feeling all the time, because that's not realistic. It's finding a way to disagree without having to hurt each other.
I agree.
Well, and it's having respect that somebody else has a different opinion or a different practice, and allowing them to do that,
right?
But not attacking each other because of it necessarily, or not name calling, I guess is a big one for me.
So yeah, name calling is one thing, right? But in the end, those things. Okay, so yeah, that is disrespect, and that shouldn't happen. But in the end, that doesn't really even move the needle that much, one way or the other. It's the ego that name calling hurts. You know what I'm saying? When you disagree with someone, and I'm not talking about causing someone out or calling him a name that challenges their sexuality or their beliefs or the stature in society, nothing like that. I'm not talking about that type of name calling. It's when you just disagree, and as categorically, even if that's wrong with someone else, and that other person takes that as to be, well, you are attacking me. You're attacking my livelihood. You're attacking the thing that I'm trying to make a living from, or just to just to put the industry forward, using this as a tool or whatever the case. That's just as bad as name calling, maybe worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
it kind of goes back to a philosophy that I've tried to grow into, I guess, which is shoot for the results, right? And there's a billion different ways to get from point A to point B, but as long as you're giving your customers the results that they paid for and that they want, there's a lot of different ways to get there. But I see a lot of people that have an opinion that theirs is the only way or the best way, to get from point A to point B, and that they disagree with anybody else that tries to do anything differently. And I have I'll admit I have a hard time with that sometimes myself. Until I have to try to step back and look at it and go, okay, they're getting this path, and just trying to understand somebody else's path. It can be very challenging. It's a lot easier to disagree with someone than it is to look at what they're doing, try to figure out what they're doing, try to understand what they're doing, and then respect what they're doing. I think that actually is harder. So I think a lot of people take the easy way out, which is just disagreeing with somebody.
Yes.
If you're not doing it my way, it's the wrong way. Is the
it's easier to just say, bleep you. I'm not gonna talk to you. That's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, cut you off. You're cut off, right?
Right. Yeah. That's the easiest way to do it. And I've done that. I'm guilty of that myself in no small measure.
I think it boils down to choice of words, in my opinion. And this goes back not only in person, right, say if you're working with a company, but also in social media. For those out there who separate those two worlds and say they are not the same, I will just go out and say, if I am in discussion with you, I consider those two the exact same thing. If you're going to say it to me on social media, be prepared to say it to me in front of my face, because I look at them the same way. They're not two separate worlds. This is not, hey, I'm just being my business role, and over here, oh, we're in person, I'm a different person to you. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as one and the same. And I see that as not being portrayed by many on social media. They play two different worlds, and they will say things on social media that I wouldn't personally dare say to somebody's face. And I don't act like that on social media. Like
they'll say something to you in social media, and then when they see you face to face, they have a smile from ear to ear. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
and I can't.
What happened to the treat others as you want to be treated, man? I mean, you don't have to be a Christian to adhere to those are easy standards, man. Just treat other people like you want to be treated. What happened to the old school respect, man? You could disagree with somebody, but you're gonna shout out on be a keyboard warrior.
I want to spin this back a little bit, and I want to talk about new technicians coming into the trade, working underneath the Salty Dog technicians who've been out there a while. When a Salty Dog technician looks at a younger tech and shrugs his shoulders and looks at that kid and says, "What do you mean you don't know?" Nothing. I'll be honest, nothing pisses me off worse. And what that younger tech should say is something along the lines of, "Yeah, nobody showed me yet." Right? Why don't you show me how to do that? And then I'd be happy to do that. Have you done this? Don't say no, say not yet, because you haven't shown me yet. That's, that's the best remark, I think, is to go back to an old timer, is tell him why don't you show me how it's done? And then I will take that off your hands for you, but to just say no, I get it, it goes back and forth, but I'm just saying, some of the new ones coming up in the trade, you got to stand your ground with these people, and you got to tell them and be prepared to say, yeah, I don't know that. Because you know what? This trade is massive, and there is a lot to learn. Yeah. A lot. I still don't know.
Chris, do you remember the first Animal House? The very first Animal House? Do you remember? Do you remember how much we argued?
I remembered I rented a house and thought, oh my God, my wife's going to kill me if I don't get people to chip in.
do you recall how much we argued?
That's true.
So
I do.
Yeah, we argued to the bone, and I remember busting out my Microsoft Surface that was, and I was doing a load calc on my laptop, and we were sitting around and we were just going, well, why are you doing that? Why would you do it that way?
The crayons, I got the crayons out.
We did. We argued it, but it never got heated.
Right.
We argued a lot.
And we did. And in, and more than once, I thought to myself, in my head, I would say, what the fuck is this guy even talking about, man? What is he saying? Is he not seeing this? And the answer is no. You're not seeing this because you're not looking at it through my eyes.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
that's what it comes down to.
It's a different view, man.
I'll tell you my biggest view from going and being around people from around the country because I'm stuck in the South and I don't get to see much about heat. I'm sure, Jenry, you kind of experience this too. Man, the level of attention that people play to combustion analyzation, it's kind of like, whoa. Like, I thought you only whooped out that tool, when things got serious. But there's people who are whooping it out on every furnace service call. And I'm just like, wow. I'm like,
I still don't even own one.
That's not. Oh, I can tell you, there's tons of companies around here that don't own one. Right?
There's tons of companies up north that don't own them. I mean, like the majority of companies, don't own them, and B, if they do own them, a lot of them don't know how to use them. And you're right. There are companies that might have one analyzer in the entire company.
Yeah.
But that's a whole. I mean, boy, you want to go down a rabbit.
Well, it goes to show you, like not everybody knows everything. Right. So if you're not paying attention to others, whether they be younger, older, whatever, you're missing out. You're missing out if you say my way, it's my way or the highway, because you don't know what other people know.
Dude, it's crazy.
I got humbled in that house in a big way.
So
we're going to call it the humble house soon.
You brought up an interesting point there. I was thinking about this earlier today, and I was thinking about like the difference. We hear a lot of times everybody wants hands-on learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. You got Chris, you've done combustion analysis maybe a little bit, seen it?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not a rock star at it by no means, but
what hands-on is involved in combustion analysis?
Wait a minute. We got the Miami guy on, and we're going to talk about combustion, bro.
No,
come on.
I'm just throwing this out.
Put the brakes on.
I've experienced combustion firing up my barbecue grill. That's about the extent.
Dude, what did I say 4 podcasts ago?
Are you talking about in a classroom, on the job?
On the job.
In my yard, dude. What do you mean a classroom and barbecue grill?
But I mean, what's?
Oh, you're talking to Eric.
Yeah, I'm saying
what's
hands-on, right? It's literally drilling a hole in a piece of pipe and sticking a probe in.
Yeah, right. It's not a ton of hands-on.
Okay.
Right.
How many days does NCI teach combustion for?
Oh, that's a good question. Is it a 3-day class or a 1-day class?
3-day class.
A 3-day class,
including testing.
Damn.
I'm sitting in the refresher class. So the summit's next week. I'll be there.
Yeah.
And I asked David, I was like, man, I want to sit in the combustion class because it's a recertification class.
Yeah.
And we have an agreement together, and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, look, man, we'll pay whatever. I want to sit in, And so I'm going to sit in it. So it's a 1-day class, but I would even like to go to the 3-day class, to be honest.
Well, I mean, but my point is there that we crave, as far as learning and things like that, we all like hands-on. But most of that class is theory, and then it is learning how to apply the theory. And if we forget, and this goes back to that whole getting along thing, we forget that we have to learn the theory and then learn how to apply the theory, because if we just get thrown out to the wolves and somebody says, back in the old R22 days, what was it? 70-pound suction pressure. And that system is spot on, baby. I mean, it's going good. 70-pound suction pressure. Let's go. Right. Well, that was hands-on knowledge, but they never learned the theory about why it might deviate from 70 pounds.
Do you think it's possible you can get hands-on experience and then back yourself into the theory? Because I think I've done that in the last 2 years.
But you
wish
have
I would have got
to
that.
be willing and able to step back and say, I don't know this. I got to go learn something.
Yeah. So quick little short story. I've had.
Yo, I got to go. I'm going to see you guys later. Okay.
Henry.
That.
Thank you, bro.
You got it, man.
Peace,
We're not going to get along, and that's okay. All right? It's all good. I'll see you guys.
Screw you. I'm blocking you.
All right, bye.
So, I went to trade school, and then I went into the trade, and man, did the shorthand versions of everything just started coming out. This is how you do it. This is how you move fast. Bam, 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 bam. And it doesn't, and when you're new and you get into the trade and you're like, oh man, I learned all this theory, but not many people are practicing this theory. Everybody's got a faster way. There's a faster way, and I'm supposed to be faster, right? So you adopt all of these curveballs, and before you know it, you fall right into the trap and you follow that path. And it's easy to fall in that path, right?
Yeah.
You are making money for the company when you fall in that path. Not every job comes out right, blah, blah, blah. You fall in that path. But
sometimes you're making money.
Whenever you circle
Sometimes
back,
you're losing it.
well, here's what I would say. There was time, I would say, after years in the trade, definitely my last 5 years in the trade, as technician, that's when I circled back and said, man, why am I doing this a certain way? And that's when I started digging. It's like I went back to trade school, right? And this time I'm going back because I even wanted to go more than so when I did, in the early 2000s. And, it's, I guess what I'm saying is continuing education is necessary. I think that's the best way I could sum it up. If you go to trade school or not, and you get into trade, if you're not finding a way to do continuing education, I think you're missing out.
I mean, if you're not continuously learning in this trade, you are getting left behind.
Yeah, but
let me say something to that, man. Why can't we all get along, right? So I start implementing all of Jim Bergman's stuff, right? I start saying to my guys, hey, I got an install coming up. Hey, man, just use my True Blue hoses, just pull 500 microns. And they're like, oh, all right, And then when I get back to the shop, you hear the little chatter, oh, Mike's jobs, they take longer, right? Because I want it done, the way I want it done, right? In my eyes, I want it done right. But in their eyes, they're home at like 12 o'clock, right? So, what's right? You got guys out there that don't even pull vacuums. You got guys that don't even do, they don't recover refrigerant. So it's like what you were saying, Chris, the quick way is almost better for them. They're looking at money. But, the funniest thing is these guys are friggin' hourly. So,
yeah,
bro, I got a 5-minute vacuum rig, bro. What's wrong with you? Wake up.
Yeah, right. It takes an extra 3 minutes to set up, but the whole thing's done in 5 minutes.
Yeah, what the hell? What's the problem? So it just takes one job with a little bit of refrigerant in there, and they're baffled. It's like, dude, give me a break here. Just do it the way I'm the salesman. Well, I want it done this way.
Here's a challenge with that sometimes is when we see new things that we don't understand, how do we respond to that? Like what happens when we see new things that we don't understand?
Right.
Like, for instance, vacuum is a great example of that, because we used to the industry was largely either no vacuum gauge, or if they're lucky, they had a thermal engineering, the old analog vacuum gauge, right? And those things read really slow. Along comes high resolution digital vacuum gauges that read out in
as long as it goes into the green,
mint, baby.
I'm good.
Mint.
15 microns, right?
Send it.
So
send it.
But I mean,
I'm in the green. Go.
Those gauges read slow, and they had such lousy resolution. And all of a sudden, we've got micron gauges that'll read 1 micron or even 1/10 of a micron, and stuff starts bouncing all over the place right in that micron.
I mean, look at me. I'm underwater right now.
You are.
Yeah.
Are you below sea level? Are you down there with Chris? You must be down there in Mola with Chris, right?
I'm under the water. I'm with the Little Mermaid right now.
Yeah.
Bloop, 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 bloop. That is the biggest submarine I've ever seen pictures of on the inside.
That's it.
And the nicest door in a submarine too, because normally aren't those like big metal doors or something?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Right. So I'm going to do a little.
This is a green screen behind me.
I was at the ACCA conference last week, and got to hang out with some of the industry's finest. It was a good time, and we did a little video content. And I'm going to do some sharing. Ed wasn't there, man. Ed was sick, didn't make it.
What? It didn't make it?
Ed didn't make it.
Man.
Feel better, Ed. Put the good vibes towards your buddy.
Feel better, Ed.
So I took some short videos about, trying to talk about some new stuff. So I hit Don up about A2Ls. Yeah. And I said,
Don Gillis, yeah.
I said, man, let's do a 2-minute short on A2Ls. He
Hey,
said, all right,
you got to go to the Don if you want to get something done. You know, get his
here it
permission.
comes, man. I'm gonna share that right now. Let me pull it up.
All right. We got some Don Gillis on here? Dang.
right.
We gotta talk loud, Don, because I don't have all my stuff on my phone. So this has got to be. We gotta talk loud because we're talking over people.
Okay.
You with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we are at the ACCA conference. I'm here with Don Gillis, one of my best friends,
Hello. Hi.
and we're gonna just do some spitballing. You know, no script. Don, here's my takeaway from being a contractor. I remember the switch from R22 to 410A, and it was daunting. Technicians were scared, but the whole like flammable thing wasn't in play. Now we're going through the switch again. We're going from 410A, now we're gonna move over to the A2Ls. And I can tell you, I got a lot of friends in the industry who are a little freaked out. They're like, oh man, I don't know if I want to stay in this industry messing with this refrigerant. It's gonna blow up on me, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And they're like, well, I know there's been a lot of, so there's been some education, kind of bringing that tone down a little bit. But if you wanted to tell a contractor that, hey, have no fear, give it to them.
Okay. I appreciate it. So first of all, what we're trying to do is get rid of some misinformation. The number one thing that we're working on and our training is there are no hydrocarbons in A2L refrigerants. First of all, some people use the term mildly flammable. Some people technically it's low flame propagation. Fun fact about that is that A2L classification's been around less than 10 years, more than 9, right around that area. So it just broke that little line that made it not an A1. Obviously, it's far from an A3. So that's first off. The other thing is the A2L refrigerants, what we try to get across, will not be able to be used in existing equipment. That's number 2. And why that is because of the sensors that are going to be put in place for mitigation moving forward. So from a contractor's standpoint, real quick is, I think, to your point, the transition we saw when I was in the field from R22 to 410A was much greater than we're going to see from 410A to R54B.
Last quick question. If you have your truck rigged out with gear, what gear are you going to have to run with A2L equipment? What are they looking to have? What do they have to change out? New vacuum pump, new recovery machine? Speak on that for a minute.
Yeah, so they've already got the A2L equipment out. Go to your wholesaler. You can go to ASHRAE. They've got a nice little drop down there of their, I'm trying to think what it is, safety task force. And you can go there. You can go to TruTech Tools, has a nice little drop down too, shows you. All the manufacturers are already geared up for this. Little to no change to what they're doing inside, but you need to get that certification. Speaking to a manufacturer of recovery machines recently, you'll need to go to their website. That model number from past will be on there to let you know that it's going to be A2L approved. Okay? Did I do all right?
That's HVAC Street Beats. There you go.
Nice job.
Street beats, I like it.
Street Beats. So if you didn't see the other Street Beats, they're on the Facebook channel, and they're way more hilarious than that. That was the serious one, but yeah, you should go.
That was the serious one.
That was I was like, this is a good chance for me to corner Don and be like, man, lay it on me. Like, what do we need to do? Prepare for A2Ls. Because this is like one of those things that you're not going to listen to the old timers about. This is new, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be brought up to speed. This is what we're talking about, continuing education. Like, you got to know what to do.
Here's the thing. And, this is going to resonate with those of us who lived through the R22 to 410 years. And Mike, how long were you around for that, Mike?
What's R22?
Okay, that's what I thought. It's green stuff. All
no,
right?
I think I just got out of school in 03, 04.
So
no, he was
about
how many of us
in
in this room, in this virtual room here, right, heard the pressures are so high that equipment's gonna blow up?
Oh my God, dude, I heard that. Yeah,
I remember. No, I can tell you pretty confidently. I remember
it's gonna blow a coil.
It
It's
was
gonna blow holes in everything.
you better wear gloves because the oil that travels with the refrigerant will dry out your hands so bad that you're going to lose the skin on your hands. That was
that was just because of Goodman's. That's all.
That was in my area.
It does dry the skin out a little bit faster, but it ain't that bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it feels kind of
right,
weird.
right around that transition. That's when Goodman had it was
And-
like foam fill and
We're
oil.
going to have nothing but evaporator coil leaks nonstop and condensers that are probably going to explode.
Oh
I
man,
mean,
that stuff was just, it was gonna, every
Yeah.
gauge you had on your truck was just gonna blow up every time you hooked one up.
Yeah,
And you know the worst thing that happened with A2Ls? I'm sure y'all have seen this video. You got everybody in the trade has have to have seen this video. The guy's working on a roof, and I can't remember if it's like a package unit or what.
Oh, the mini split in
Yeah.
India.
It explodes in front of him and throws him back.
Yeah,
That was the first. I guess it was like my first introduction to A2Ls. I remember in the trade, and we were talking about it at the shop. Be like, "Hey, y'all seen this video?" And the video circulated between
Bro.
all of us. And
That wasn't
everybody said,
A2L.
yeah, we didn't even know. I mean, nobody knows if it's an A2L, A3, what it is. All we knew is flammable refrigerator.
dude, that could have been ISIS. Who the hell knows?
Hold on.
Fear.
Hold
Fear
on.
goes fast in this trade, bro.
Hold on. Stop it. I want to address that video
Yeah, please.
because Ralph Wolf actually went back, did a bunch of research, and figured out what happened with that video.
No
Oh.
shit.
Well,
Yeah.
lay it on us.
Talk to me,
Okay.
baby.
So, what else do we have in a refrigerant system besides refrigerant?
Oil.
Okay.
It's a trick question. Shit.
That's exactly the right question.
I was like, me and Mike are on this
Hold on.
tonight. I was like,
Oh, you're on it.
virtual high five. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. Now,
Oh shit! All the way.
yeah, go like this. Now, how does a diesel engine ignite the fuel in the combustion chamber?
Pressure.
Compression.
What has to be in that compression chamber with the diesel, the vaporized diesel, in order for it to explode?
What do you got? That little glow plug or something like that?
Oxygen.
Nope.
I,
The
it's
glow
just
plugs only
compression?
help to start it when it's cold.
Oh, okay. So it's all compression.
100% compression. You got to have oil vapor. And what's the other piece of combustion?
Oxygen.
You got to have oxygen.
Wow.
They didn't pull a vacuum on that system right. That was a diesel explosion.
Holy smokes.
They flipped the
Oh.
compressor on and it exploded due to a diesel explosion.
Oh,
Really?
dear
So that video
God.
that's diesel that we see exploding in that.
No, it's not diesel.
Oh, you're
It is
okay.
a compressor with oil and air in it.
They didn't pull a vacuum, Chris.
They
So
didn't
when
pull a
they
vacuum,
kicked
so
it
they
on.
left the air in it.
I see what
Wow,
you're saying.
bro.
All right. This
Yeah,
is
but-
another reason for pulling a vacuum.
Yeah, but let's be honest, Eric. That there's going to be a lot of people who don't like this, but I'm just going to say it. That's a little scary.
Yeah, it is.
That is true.
Yeah,
Because
it
you're
is.
telling me that if someone doesn't pull a very good vacuum, there could be an explosion.
Dude,
If-
I've had some
so
line
what
sets
happens
under
is
the ground, man. Not
You have
fun.
to have the exact right mixture of oxygen and fuel and heat. It has to be at what's called between the lower and upper explosive limits. And that's your percentage ratio of oxygen to fuel. And then you
Well-
have to have enough heat.
Yeah, but
Okay.
doesn't True Tech Tools have all those resources? Like, get all the different equipment. You got tabs on all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. We got all kinds of stuff over there.
Yeah, you guys got.
they got the equipment, and they write a bunch of articles and
Yeah,
stuff, you know.
because I remember Bill was saying something about just the resource tabs, and that was a while ago. I went
Yeah.
there.
We got a lot of resource
lot of
tabs
good
over there.
information. Yeah.
So I haven't done the research on A2Ls or A3s. I'll be straight up with you, sir. You
Bro,
tell
just flow your nitrogen. Stop being a wuss. If you can't hang it, can't get the.
But I've also seen a video.
Get out the kitchen.
Now,
Get out
Let
there.
me-
with people.
let me say one more thing, Chris.
Go ahead.
When we purge a system with nitrogen,
Yep.
how much oxygen is left in there?
Oh, none, I guess.
Right, because we're flowing 100% nitrogen in there, which takes all the oxygen out. So
Yeah.
that completely negates the chance of the diesel style explosion.
No, I'm with you. Here's where my heart goes out for some of the people who maybe work for a company and the company doesn't value training and they haven't really brought themselves up to speed on proper microns and how to pull a proper vacuum, how to sweep with nitrogen, the whole gamut, right? And how many of those people are going to get blown up? And I don't know if that, I guess what I'm asking is, could that happen with A2Ls, or is that
Well, listen, I don't want my competition to blow up.
It can happen with any refrigerant. Now, keep in mind that even an A1 refrigerant is flammable under the right conditions.
Yeah.
All right. It just doesn't have large amounts of flame propagation. It has a really high ignition level. So for in all intents and purposes, it's considered very low flammability.
Just go to TruTech and get that little nitrogen flow that nitro.
The thing is that we all pressure test with we even pressure test with nitrogen. So,
so you're telling me you're going to have the nitrogen tank there anyway?
Every system that gets pressure tested, you pressure test it with nitrogen, then you bleed that out, and that takes the oxygen out. So, yeah, and what Michael Hausch is saying is that during the 410A transition, manufacturers required training, and there's probably going to be even more training required by the manufacturers going into the A2Ls.
I agree 100%, but I feel like it should already be here, and we're not seeing it in heavy waves like we should. That's my opinion.
I can agree with that 100%.
So my question is, where's the training, right? And I feel like Don is standing out on an ocean by himself right now.
Realistically, if you look around, Jason Obzut's been doing
training. Yeah, at the symposium, he was getting the word out. Yeah. He's the one that got me.
Well, he's been. I don't even have it sitting in front of me. Jason wrote a really nice book on A2L.
Yeah, he wrote a book on it.
Man, Jason has been doing a very good job with that for sure.
The Obzut.
But where's our
right there? Get a hold of ESCO. Get a hold of Jason Obzut's book. Yeah. That right there. If you need to know about A2Ls.
To speak on what Hausch said, I remember when 410A came out, and there was a lot of equipment manufacturer based education out there on it, and I'm not seeing that right now.
There was also we don't have Daikin is the only one that I know of that's putting any equipment out yet. I don't think we're going to see any of the other manufacturers probably until next year is what I'm understanding. And right now, you can't even put this equipment into every state. The majority of states in the country, you can't even put it in because they haven't updated their codes.
Wow. We're down here in Florida. We're good. We're ready to roll, baby.
Florida, yes, you can. You can actually put it in down there.
What's going to be interesting is the shakedown. Daikin has R32, right? And they've decided that will be the A2L they will run with. Right? Yep, they've already committed to it. Yep. Here's the other interesting fact. All the other big boy manufacturers, Carrier, Train, Rheem, as far as I know, and a few others, they've all decided to go with, is it 454B, I think it is?
454B, yes.
And they're going down that path with their A2L.
Great. So I got to have two tanks in my truck.
So instead of us going from R22 to 410A and there's just a 1-for-1 switch, we're about to go from 410A to a split industry of R32 and 454B.
Why can't we just all get along? Come on.
That's exactly what I'm saying, man.
Bro.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Come on, Daikin. You know what he was like? Okay. The guys at Daikin were like, we invented 410A. Just follow us.
Here's the story. Here's the backstory on that. Okay. So Daikin invented R32 years ago. Yep. They've had it for a long time.
I thought they invented 410.
No. Mm-mm. No, that was
don't
Honeywell,
listen to me, guys.
Honeywell actually had the patent on R410A.
Damn.
They were
Puron.
I think no, Puron was the Carrier brand name for R410A.
I got all types of misinformation.
So the patent was owned by Honeywell, I believe, in the beginning on 410A. I'd have to go back and look at the actual patent on that, but I think it was Honeywell that had the patent on it. It was either Honeywell or DuPont.
You're right, because there was that Mexican distributor that sued Congress over here, or Yeah, I remember
But-
digging into that.
Regardless, but that was like in 1992, I think they patented that.
Oh, it was a good year. It was a
It
good
was
year.
early on in the 90s. But anyways,
For 10 years, right?
yeah, the Puron was Carrier's brand name for that. That was what their brand name was. And that's why when Carrier announced 454B, it's going to be Puron Advance.
Ooh.
Now, R32, so the next generation of refrigerants, the reason we're going to the A2Ls is because they're trying to get the global warming potential, or the GWP, lower.
Why didn't they just go straight to the A2Ls and skip 410A?
Because they didn't have them.
Why dick around? Just go straight
Because
to the
they
good
didn't
stuff.
have. My understanding is
easy,
that we
man.
couldn't
Push back.
understand, the science wasn't there, understanding that we needed to reduce that GWP as much as we did.
Well, I don't think so. I think it was people lobbying against it, and they took a small win, right? They said, "Oh, if we're going to go to 410A, it's a small win now, and we're going to keep pushing." It's the same thing with like
The big thing with 410 was the ozone depletion. That's why we went to the HFCs and we went to that zero ODP,
Yeah.
zero ozone depletion, because we got rid of the chlorine.
Yeah.
And then like we're going to see, I think we're actually going to see another iteration later on down the road after this. In my opinion, I don't know what we're going to end up with. I suspect probably hydrocarbons and CO2, but we need a lot of changes in the industry, and in not only in the industry but in the equipment before we can start running those.
So, I would to speak on that, I won't say my source, but you know what? I don't know if I can say that. I'm a backpedal on that statement because that's some privileged information I'm probably not supposed to know. Sorry.
So my understanding from reading through all of the choices was that Daikin largely went with R32 because they were already using it everywhere else overseas.
Oh, right.
The US is way behind on this. They've
Yeah.
been using A2Ls in Australia and Europe for years, and
That's
they already
right.
had all their stuff engineered.
Mostly in the, it's in package units, all the stuff that's self-contained.
Oh, no, it's
R32 everywhere.
It's in split systems all over the place.
It's
And
been
you-
in mini
You
splits,
can buy
right?
over 32 here now. I mean,
Yeah, because dude, that little Indian guy that blew off that ladder, dude, that was like Ralph Wolf posted that like 8 years ago.
Most of us
Feels
have
like yesterday, though,
A2Ls.
baby. Feels like yesterday.
Most of us have A2Ls in our cars right now.
yep.
1230
Yeah.
Our 1234YF is in most new automobiles, I think, from like 2016.
And I've heard it's very expensive.
Yeah,
it
it
can
is,
be.
bro. And why does it sound like my 6-year-old made up the name? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 YF. Like, bro,
So
keep it simple, bro.
the
Can we just get along?
you're gonna have to ask ACA or Ashray because they're the ones that do all the refrigerant name or numbering, right?
I got straighten those guys out.
There you go. My understanding is the rest of the manufacturers chose the 454B. So R32 has a higher GWP. It's up in the like 600 or 700s.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's below the 750 limit that
It just gets under the bar of where
it
it's
just
free.
barely clears that 750 limit.
Yep.
But there was a lot of talk early on about trying to hit 500 GWP or less. And
Can you
454B
explain
hits
that to me?
So if you
410 has
compare,
the high GWP, right?
okay, so GWP is global warming potential.
Right.
CO2 has a GWP of 1.
Oh, wow.
So everything else is compared to CO2. So a GWP of 500 is 500 times higher at global warming potential than CO2 is.
Okay.
So it has 500 times more global warming potential than CO2 does. So there's talk about dropping that 750 limit down to 500. And that was really early on when the California was kind of leading the charge into all these values. So we'll see what happens next.
Okay.
Because
So it has a potential of global warming.
There's a real chance that they're going to lower that global warming limit down to 500, in which case R32 won't be viable anymore.
Oh, wow.
So the interesting question would be if someone installs, I'm just going to say their name, Daikin equipment, let's say someone has a Daikin unit down the street and it's running on R32. Let's say R32 becomes outlawed because it doesn't reach the GWP and you can't buy the refrigerant anymore. Let's say it gets phased out. Will you be able to convert to 454B?
It won't phase out. So none of the HFCs, the 410, none of that is getting phased out. That is getting phased down, and it is not going to be produced in new equipment. It will, as of right now, the current regulation only phases it down to a minimum production, like 10% of what it was in 2020 or something like that.
So you're saying that
so there's always service gas.
There'll be R32 available to run out the life of that system.
Right. We will have everything that's recovered because we have to recover it and recycle it. We should be.
What's that?
Okay. So recover, recycle. So we're going to have all of that still in play. And there's going to be there would be some allowed because we've got all this equipment out there and they're not going to necessarily disallow that in the existing equipment. They would disallow it in new equipment.
I will say
just switch over to CO2. I got plenty of CO2 in my house. My ACH is 3.
In my opinion, the swap over between refrigerants, whoever's doing the timeline on that for the swap over, the phase downs, I don't know if we're stretching our wings too far, but like when we made our switch from 22 to 410A, I remember that. And I don't remember it being such a huge deal. Like I didn't have to go it wasn't this big panic. Like there was 22 on the market for quite a while that stretched for the life of the systems.
Yeah, it did.
It wasn't so like, oh my gosh, like you thought it was going to be.
If you remember and here's my opinion, they stretched the R22 changeover for a really long time. And then everybody came out with 407C dry charge units that you could just put R20. They were R22 units.
Oh, that's right.
They were R22 dry ship units to get around that.
Yeah,
I heard of people putting those in.
Right.
I put it for me. I'm not gonna.
I think what they're doing is they're looking backwards at what happened during that time frame, and they're saying we don't want that to happen again. And right now, there is no replacement for our 410A.
I love the government.
There's no direct replacement. So you can't just walk up to a 410 system, pull the refrigerant out, and put something else in it. There's no replacement for that. So we've got to use that 410A to keep everything running.
We need everybody to lobby for more government.
Well, let's not go down that path in here, okay?
Why can't we just get along? That's all.
Why can't we just get along? I don't know.
That's it.
Chris, tell us, why can't we just get along?
Just bring 22 back, baby.
All right, I'm going to circle back to social media, man. I think that there's a huge disconnect in this country. And maybe it's because we're starting to see the generation that was born and raised with smartphones in their hands, because I was not raised like that. I mean, I had a beeper at one point in my life, right? And so, we're now at the stage where, even my kids, they go play with their friends, but more than often, they're talking to their friends on the computer.
Online, bro.
And it's like that social in-person interaction isn't quite there like it was when I was a kid, I feel. And that's the wave. And I'm thinking we're starting to see the first wave of those kids who were born and raised like that in the trade, right?
So when were those kids born?
Oh, man, don't ask me that. But I will tell you this, they're here, right? They're on the phone. And I think there's a disconnect where they're like, well, this is my social media presence and it's not who I'll be in person, but this is, I'm going to be a keyboard warrior here. While you are probably the type of people who are like, whoa, if you said that to me on the street,
bro,
be a knockdown, drag out fight.
I think Bill Burr hit it like very well, man. Bill Burr hit it. I think women have went through this. You know, they say whatever they want to each other, and it's like it just never ends, man. It's like there's no decent because they know they're not going to get punched in the face, right? Bill Burr did it a lot better than I did, but
I think
let's just keep it there. But
I
there's
think,
everybody knows that there's no repercussions, right?
I don't know. You know,
Until there is.
Without the generation that's coming who had this in their hand from the moment go, that generation is gonna take us to a whole nother level, man.
Friggin' house.
They're gonna take us to another level.
So I honestly think that
Yes. Or at least kicked in the nuts, Mike.
Hey,
you know,
this
I
by
think
the way,
the generations.
this is
I
my
think the
birthday.
generations that have been.
About that. From my last email,
bro,
I love it.
dude. You talk back in New York. If I talk back to somebody, I get popped right in the face. You know, you just know you mind your P's and Q's. You know, it's like, and I feel like it's gone, bro. I'm sorry.
Personally, here's my feeling on this. The people that I see popping off a lot more online are the older generations that were not raised with the smartphone in their hand, because now they have found a place where they can pop off and say what they think without those repercussions that Mike just talked about.
I like this. I like that angle, bro.
I think the younger generations will be better at this than we are.
I think you got something there, and I'm going to keep my eye on that. That's pretty cool. I like the way you brought that up, because they're taught in school cyberbullying, yada yada. It's not good. They're teaching them in schools a little bit more.
I mean,
if you feel like you're a unicorn, you're a unicorn. So I think you might be onto something. It's the 40s and up. They found their little spot where
there's going to be exceptions to every rule, but I think there's a lot of people that are like that. Like us, the three of us on here, we kind of bridged that, right? We were raised, I had quarters and dial telephones and
sorry, man, I'm just laughing at Mike's posts and shit.
I was fast on that rotary dial telephone. Let me tell you what, I could hit some numbers on that sucker quick.
Yeah, I remember when zero tolerance came into school, but I also remember my parents saying, if you get picked on, you need to punch that kid in the face. So it was like the school's teaching me one thing, and then my parents are like,
because we were in the middle, bro.
Yeah,
we were in a transition period.
Parents are like, zero tolerance. Get the hell out of here with that. Check that kid out.
There's a lot of different nuances to that, but that's my feeling, is that a lot of the younger generation is actually doing better at that because they were raised with it.
Yeah.
And they're more apt they're more apt, because they're so used to that form of communication. They're more apt to be more authentic on the electronic communication than they are in person.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases.
So we got to watch out for the people like us who are on social media. We're the bad people. Basically.
Sadly, yeah, kind of.
So the older generation who wasn't raised right, that's the ones you got to look out for.
Well, no, they were
the ones that got picked on, Chris.
Raised right in person, but when that anonymity comes along, the things that are always rolling around in the back of their head start falling out because there's no repercussions for them.
Right.
So here's what I'm gonna say. The Grapevine group's kind of been on this crazy incline of people coming in, and I kind of had someone tell me this the other day, and it kind of struck a nerve. They're like, man, I really like that group. There's tons of smart people in there. They're like, but I've been watching it grow. There's like tons of more people in there. And I'm like, yeah, no, I see that. But I'm like, I don't want to not let people in, but at the same time, I don't want the group to sour. So
I kind of feel the same way. I feel like I hope we stay small.
I'm kind of like putting that warning out there that like, I'm not going to do the whole like warning. If I see something that just comes off wrong, boot, right? Straight out. That's just the way I'm going. I'm just going to go bye-bye, like done with it. It's not going to be like second chances, no warnings. Like You know, because if I feel like if you got it in you to go nasty once, you're going to do it again anyway. Because I don't want to lose.
House might be onto something down there. That last comment from House, he might be onto something.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, I'm and there may be some cleaning up in that group, man. I don't know. You know, I don't want to give anybody the boot, but if I see something sketchy, I'm just going to clean it up because I don't want to. I don't want to.
I was 15 minutes. I was looking at this guy's Facebook profile. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to give this one to Eric or Chris.
Yeah,
I feel like I was like the FBI. I'm like, man, this is girlfriend is real or what?
So I'm watching like people come into the group, and I'll be honest, I'm pretty crucial. Like I'll say, like if there's no profile picture, if I gotta spend more than like a minute to figure out if you're real or not,
it ain't worth it.
It's not coming in the group. I'm sorry.
That's where I was at. I was like,
sorry,
5 minutes in.
sorry if I failed you and you wanted in and you were legit, but I would say improve your appearance online, and I would let you in. You know, just is what it is.
We need more Michael Hausch memes with his face on the side like that.
Yeah,
I need more. We need more memes in the group.
We do.
Drop those memes.
We don't need any more memes in that group.
Damn.
All right, so
Why can't we get along, Eric? Damn it.
I have no idea.
closing remarks, Michael. Closing remarks. Can't we?
Hey, man, treat other people like you want to be treated. That's it. You know, everybody's got their own opinion. Opinions are like assholes. So just say what you have to say, and if people don't receive it, just keep moving, man. That's it.
That's a good Easter Sunday. Eric, you got anything?
Treat everybody else with respect and request that they respect you as well. Don't let somebody roll over top of you.
There you go.
Just say, hey, look, and I am completely willing to disengage with people that they don't value my time. Value other people's time. I mean, like you would like yours to be valued, or maybe even more than you want yours to be valued.
Yeah, man.
And to me, that's respecting other people, their time and their opinions, and say, you know, look, we have different ways of getting there. But at the end of the day, like if we're talking about HVAC, make sure the customer is getting what they want and what they paid for. And, you know, kind of same thing in life. Just don't be a dick.
Don't be a scumbag. Life's too short. Tomorrow's never promised.
Yep. I'm going to say, going back to like, if you're being picked on in school, I know zero tolerance, is a thing, but dude, let your kid just knock that other kid out. I'm sorry. Like, just knock the other kid out. The bullying will stop. I was bullied in high school, man, and I laid a kid out and it stopped. And I didn't want to do it, but
you guys were best friends, right? That's your best friend.
Zero tolerance doesn't always just work. That's all I'm saying, man.
Dude, me and my buddy were playing hockey, and he was trying to be the referee and play hockey. I'm like, bro, no. I took a slap shot. I hit him in the head by accident. He came swinging at me. I was like, you don't want to do this. I gave him a good little jab to the face. He kept coming, hit me in the back of the head. I gave him one right hook.
So
now he's an HVAC.
I'll get serious for a minute. If you're gonna,
he kills it.
If you're new at a company and they're not doing their practices right, or you're getting scolded for like asking why, stand your ground, be legit, and just use your resources. Point to your social media resources, and don't lose your job, but be straight up and be like, look, I don't know this yet. Teach me, and I will do it. Be straightforward and be loud and proud about it. Like, this trade is huge. There's a lot to learn. Just be like, bam. Teach it to me and I will do that for you. Don't not say that. Don't cower down, because then they think that you're inferior. If you don't know it and you just stand up loud and proud and say, I don't know it, but I'm here to learn it. Give it to me straight.
You're right, man.
Build me up.
I didn't do that when I was new in the trade.
You gotta be.
I was always told, you shut your mouth, you put your head down, you keep going. But if I would have spoke up, dude, I got fired from my first HVAC job, man. Because
speak up. But make sure that you're learning it when somebody teaches you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I got along and I learned from a lot of old timers, grouchy old timers. I have a knack for dealing with grouchy old timers. Maybe. Ouch. maybe it's because I was raised around
That
a
makes
bunch
two
of
of us.
but I have a knack for dealing with grouchy old timers, and I've always worked well with them. But I don't let them give me any shit. And if they start giving me anything, I hand it right back to them.
You just gotta toe that line, man.
Back.
Nah, I don't necessarily always toe the line. Sometimes you got to hand it back to them and say, "Man, no,
Yeah. Prove it.
yeah,
Yeah.
When they tell you that myth, say, prove it.
yeah,
And when they
back
can't
that stuff
prove it-
up."
When they can't prove it, say, why can't you explain that all the way?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it not making sense? Why can't you give it to me straight? Why can't you go beyond it is what it is?
Yeah.
Call them out.
Let's do it this way because this is the way we've always done it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's all go get along.
That's right. Get along.
Peace.